Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. PsychicTarot.ca, book your tarot reading and unlock your spiritual journey. And the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to Season 5 and episode number 77 of the True North Eager Beaver Interview Project, also known as episode number 711 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Today, recording day is Sunday, August 3rd, 2025, for broadcast later this month a bit on, let's look at it. What are we looking at? Monday, August 11th, 2025. And we have a guest for you today, and I think you're going to enjoy this very, very much. Our guest, but before we get into it, of course, thanks to our podcast founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mystery from Corwood Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. And we have Mr. Grizzly with us, as promised. Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health today, sir?
I just woke up from a nap about 20 minutes ago, so I'd say it's doing pretty good. You know, get a post brunch. We went to brunch today. It's the first time we've done that in goodness, I don't know how long, because of fiscal restraint. So we were able to afford to go to brunch today, largely because, well, let's just say there was a recent windfall, and we'll leave it at that.
Yep.
But it was an extravagance that we haven't had for some time. So brunch, it was great. It was nice, and got back home, and I'm like, I'm gonna take a nap. And Bridget looked at me. She goes, "Well, I got to go meet so and so for coffee." I'm like, "Okay, why don't you do that? I'm literally going to go take a nap." She goes, "Post brunch nap." Yeah, I get it. So
Yep.
that was my morning.
Wonderful. I was up because, again, if you're watching this, we're back in time, watching the last day, morning of competition from the World Aquatics Championships, and watching Summer McIntosh bring home another gold. So that was very, very, very good, and happy to do my little bit to cheer for Team Canada. And of course, looking forward to watching Vicky Mboko play her next match because she did win and took out the tournament's number one. And world number 2, by the way. So Canadian women athletes keeping Canadians very, 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 very happy this weekend. And talking about Canadians who make us proud, because kids and cubs on the show, we say that democracy is something that you do. And in this case, we have someone who is doing just that. Our guest today, kids and cubs, is a rural advocate and community builder who has launched her candidacy as an independent in the upcoming federal by-election for Battle River-Crowfoot, challenging Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre with a call for accountability, affordability, and action. Calgary-born, but having lived across Western Canada and bringing more than a decade of hands-on experience in social services, education, and nonprofit leadership, her background work with vulnerable youth, people with disabilities, and families in crisis will definitely be handy. She says, quote, that her People Before Parties platform is about reconnecting Parliament with the people it's meant to serve and is grounded in lived experience and rural realities with practical priorities such as healthcare access and family doctors, fair wages and housing affordability, justice reform and community safety, rural investment, infrastructure, and small business support, climate action that works for families and farmers, true reconciliation and Indigenous rights, balanced firearm legislation and local voice in national policy, and electoral reform. So she's
Something
thought
that's
about a
pretty
lot of things.
popular. Electoral reform is pretty popular these days.
Yes, indeed, indeed. So kids and cubs, if you would, put your paws up and give a big round of applause for Sarah Spanier. Welcome to the Beaver Lodge.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited.
Oh, we're excited to have you. Sarah, like we do for all our guests, we always ask them, how's your mental health doing today?
So far, so good. No complaints.
We like to hear that. Has anything happened particularly recently to put you in such a good mood?
Yeah, yesterday I was at the Coronation Rodeo and I got to meet a whole bunch of people, and it was such a positive experience. Even people who didn't agree with me, we were able to have constructive conversations, and the rodeo is always enjoyable. I've gone since I was little, so yeah.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say you were able to have constructive conversations because you were willing to listen to what they have to say, as opposed to telling them what you want them to hear. Which
Yes.
I think there's a specific candidate that's running in your riding right now who's lived in Ottawa for 25 years, who has a reputation of telling people what he wants them to hear and doesn't really listen to what they have to say. Now, that's just my experience in watching him.
Do you have any thoughts?
You know what? He struggled to listen to the people who were 59 kilometers from him, and now we are 3,000 kilometers from Ottawa, and he's still not going to listen, and it's time for a change, in my opinion.
Okay. Sarah, in the press statement that you released that launched your campaign, you said Battle River-Crowfoot isn't the easiest riding in Canada. It's a community full of resilient, hardworking people who deserve better. I'm not here to play politics. I'm here to work for them. So, since having released that, could you describe what it is that makes it a riding that's not easy, but as well what you've learned about the community and its residents since you started campaigning?
It's not easy because living in a rural area is not easy.
Mhm.
We pay extra for a lot of things here. It's like a rural tax. It's a hidden tax that nobody talks about. It costs more for us to get groceries, to get medical care, to get any services brought in. And that takes resilience to be able to handle that. And that takes hard work to be able to navigate systems that are broken. And it's time that somebody comes in and advocates for the people here in Battle River-Crowfoot, because when you drive through the towns here, you can see there are a lot of buildings that are, abandoned, and things that can be revitalized here. And I want to do that. I want to help the people. I continuously hear that it's just the way it is. This is how we live because we chose this lifestyle. And it doesn't have to be. It really doesn't have to be. There are funds in the budget that we can use and bring back here and help everyone in the community. And I don't care about party lines. I'm an independent. I will go take the money wherever it is needed. And that's something that I really want to hammer home, because a lot of people say it is what it is, but it doesn't have to be anymore.
Well, and a perfect example of that was when Pierre Poilievre had a seat and leader, and told his MPs, do not go to Sean Fraser and ask for money because he's a Liberal. When they had that housing fund, he told his MPs, don't do that. He scolded a number of them for actually asking for housing funds on a federal program set up by the federal government to help communities. And he slapped them basically on the back of the wrist for doing that. I'm like, this is not good. But what you just said lends credence to the fact that you actually do want to help. I'll take the money wherever I can get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, please.
Sorry, I am having a hard time hearing.
Okay, sorry. I just was I was going to ask you something, but I thought that you had something to add, so I just wanted to
Okay,
leave
yeah,
you the
no,
space for
sorry.
that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. In the same press statement, you said, "I've lived low income, paycheck to paycheck, and I know what it's like when the system doesn't work for you." If you could you tell us a little bit more about that experience and how it has shaped your candidacy and your platform?
A lot of that has been, when I was living on Vancouver Island, and everything is so much more expensive there, and
Mhm.
you're actually making less wages, at least I was when I was there. And it kind of really hit home that we as Canadians deserve better. We deserve a government that works for us instead of just talking to each other and letting us talk to each other without actually doing anything viable. And everyone, these are basic rights that we deserve. We can have so much better if we just work together and trying to find my words here.
Take your time.
Yeah, if we work together, if we listen, and if we look back at my professional career as well, I work with a lot of different government agencies, whether it be through the unhoused population, through children, anything like that. And there are people who need services. There are people who wait years and years and years for services because there's not enough, healthcare staff or government staff, or too much red tape. And to me, it just feels like it can be so much more simple if we just take the time to actually work together.
Okay. I can respect that. Yeah, absolutely. You also stated, "I'm not backed by a party. I'm backed by the people, and I'm running because this riding deserves real representation, not another rubber stamp."
Mhm.
You've entered the race, I'm assuming here, because the candidate who is presenting themselves as inevitable uh, does not meet that standard. So for you, what does real representation look like, and not being a rubber stamp? Why would you say that that's dangerous?
Real representation to me looks like somebody who will listen to every side, will understand that the left and the right are not going to always agree, but that there is a middle ground, and we can come together to build back up our economy through this compromise, through these conversations. And I have a lot of experience, with advocacy, with grant writing, and I've brought funding back to organizations, which is exactly what I want to do on a federal level. And that's another thing an independent can do. I can go take that money because I'm not bound by the party. I'm here for the people. I've said it once, I've said it twice. The people here are my boss. There's no middleman. And I want to answer directly to them. I want to listen to them. I've been trying to engage with them on social media as much as possible so they know that I am reachable, because I hear that other candidates, are not reachable. And that needs to change, in my opinion.
Okay.
That's reasonable. And just thinking of the most recent federal election and how unapproachable the leader of the Conservative Party was during that time frame, where they penned in the journalists and would only give them one question with no follow-up, and would pull the microphone away if they didn't like the. That's rather what's the word I'm looking for there, Mr. Beaver? It starts with an F, ends with ism.
um, we're trying not to ask too many questions about him, or to try to frame your candidacy in context of him. But you were at a candidate forum that just took place. Um, there was well, I'm wondering what your impressions of the forum was overall in general. And as this sort of second question, um, one candidate tried to create a certain mood and atmosphere in that room. And how did that, we see it through the other end of the camera, but how did that play in the room with the people who were there? And, in your opinion, did this hinder or help the people who wanted to get information?
So I will say that all of the 8 of the candidates plus myself that showed up on time, we were able to have conversations together and be respectful and, acknowledge that everything that we were doing together and that we kind of all have a common goal, even if we are on different sides of the political spectrum. And then our boy Pierre showed up an hour late. He shook hands with everybody, and then he didn't talk to any of the female candidates.
Of course not.
And campaigned to the male candidates. Plus, he also didn't know where to stand in line with the alphabetical order, so I had to gently guide him to his spot in line, which that was fun. But he is also not coming to the next 2 forums, which I find absolutely astonishing, because that you want the job, you got to go for the interview, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to the atmosphere in the room, it was really interesting because Damien was glaring all of us down really aggressively. And there were boos for Pierre. I heard Pierre boos, and the audience wasn't sold out. There were a few seats left.
Okay. But
for the most part, it was pretty good. Towards the end, it got a little heated, but for the most part, it was. I had a really good time, even though I stumbled a bit.
Now he bust in. Well, he didn't. Garnet Genuous bust in a bunch of individuals to that rally, that forum, that event, whatever label you want to put on it. But the individuals that were bust in don't reside in the riding and therefore can't vote. So they were just there as a cheerleading section, which I think is as ridiculous as the long ballot committee. And I say that because people who may have wanted to attend, who live in that riding, who actually have skin in the game, couldn't, because those seats were taken by individuals who just were there to cheer on Pierre. And I think if that message gets out to more and more residents in the riding, it might make them double think about, maybe I shouldn't vote Conservative this election, because that guy doesn't really seem to give a damn about any of us.
Yeah, and that, the more I talk to people, the more I'm hearing that. It seems to be just that there is obvious Pierre supporters here, but there are people who are tired, there. And if you're willing to have the conversations and kind of like, if I'm able to relate to them, because I do have those conservative values attached to me, they listen and they understand. And once the conversation of what an independent can do in a minority government looks like, they are even more further accepting of what I can do for them.
Now, earlier on in your answer, you said you stumbled. But overall, do you think that your message got, in as much as it can, answering 7 questions with 1 minute and 2 minutes? I mean, you get to speak a total of 11 minutes, which is not a lot of time to get to know you, admittedly. Did you feel that your campaign got something out of being there, and since then, has there been more interest?
Yes.
Okay.
I was actually saying to my campaign manager this morning that when I went to bed at midnight last night, I had a video that was at 16,000 views, and now it's at 23,000. And like things are moving really, really quickly. Like people, I almost can't keep up with it anymore. And things have gotten really positive. And, I've had some people who will give me constructive criticism, will give me the negativity, all that stuff. But I'm here for it because it does allow me to grow and to, be more be more open to different perspectives. And it's been so fun. That's like the one thing. It's so fun.
I'm glad you're saying that, because often on this show, when we say democracy is something that you do, we often encourage our audience, wherever you are, if there's an opportunity and if you have the time, run for something.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You might be the change you wanted to see. What prompted you?
Frustration prompted me, being, we overwhelmingly voted for Damien.
Mhm.
And I will admit I did not vote for Damien, but I respected democracy. I respected how the people chose to vote here. 82% is not a small number.
No.
Right.
And to have that taken away from us without as much of a conversation, and then to be labeled the easiest riding in the country was
Mhm.
so insulting to me, because we are not. We are so much better than that. And when I continued to look into everything, Damien didn't bring anything back to the riding. Yes, he was seen as a commendable man,
Mhm.
but he didn't do anything. And I want to go do stuff. I want to help the riding. Like I've said, I don't care where the funding comes from. I want to bring money back and create a better rural economic development type situation here. And I want to be that change. I want to be that person. I know I can do it. I know I have the support behind me. I just need the people to trust me enough. And I mean, worst case scenario, Damien comes back in 4 years and you can vote for him again.
But you mentioned, like, there was no conversation at all with anybody it just like came down from on high. He's going.
Yeah.
He didn't talk to anybody.
Not that I'm aware of.
Interesting. Really interesting.
Yeah, just it's like the order came from on high.
Mhm.
I lost my seat. I need a seat because I can be the next prime minister. So you just step aside and I'll do this and I'll get you a nice cushy lobbying job.
Mhm.
I'm speculating that conversation took place. We don't know what was said, but it's kind of how it turned out, right? I mean, in the end, Damien's a lobbyist now, which I thought there was supposed to be like a 5-year wait or something like that. They found a loophole, or I'm
Yeah,
very
so from my understanding, he's labeled as a principal,
okay.
which is kind of is kind of different. So that's, he is working for a lobbyist firm, but labeled as a principal is different. But it's still murky. It's still uncomfortable. It's
Yeah.
still slimy, in my opinion.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, if the only difference is that you're not having direct interface, but you're advising everybody who's going to have direct interface, you're having interface. All right, it's just one step removed. Have you, when you're knocking on the doors and you're talking to the constituents and they're talking, somebody either being parachuted in, you're talking about like being independent, so so that there is a voice. Um, People maybe being dismayed that the candidate that they did choose is not there anymore. Um, is there any feedback that you've been picking up on that, and has that sort of like modified or informed your campaign?
There are quite a few people who are Damien supporters and not Pierre supporters.
Okay.
Right.
The conversation seems to be getting louder about that as well. But the conversation is getting quieter when it comes to what Damien did. So I feel like that kind of speaks to people understanding that there's like murky behavior from both sides here.
Mhm.
Okay.
Do you think that the party has seen it? How do I want to phrase this? They're taking advantage of the riding, thinking that it's just going to be a cakewalk.
Yes. Yes.
And are you getting feedback from the constituency about that?
Yes. They a lot. Yeah. So they obviously thought it was going to be an easy win, and the people here have shown Pierre, that we're not going to be an easy win. You know, in the last election, I almost didn't even want to vote because there was Damien and then there was nobody. And
Right.
forums were canceled because people couldn't show up. They didn't want to show up because they knew Damien was going to win. And now there's choices that, you know, the forum was broadcast. Everybody knows about it. This is national news. This is the first time that Battle River-Crowfoot has really had so many options.
Oh yes,
And
yeah.
people are listening. People are wanting to open their minds. You know, you've got options as far right as you need to go and left as well. Like there's, I think it's going to be really, really interesting what happens because we're not used to having options like this.
Mm-hmm. What is it about? We're both Ontario based here.
Heads up. I used to live in Cold Lake. Both my sisters were born in Alberta, so I got some Berta roots there. Just so you know, even though I live in Ottawa, down the street from Parliament Hill, I've got some Berta in me. So,
what do we not know about Battle River-Crowfoot and the people there that we should know in order to be able to understand what's going on the ground there?
How hardworking people are here, and how genuine people are here. Genuine. My apologies.
It's like genuine and generous together.
Yes. Both of those are words I was trying to use there.
We also just talked about Garnet Genuous, so that's probably what was in your head.
Like the people here, I moved here willingly. I wanted the small town lifestyle. And when I came here, I didn't have anybody to help me move any of my stuff. People from the community came and offered to move my stuff. They're like, "Hi, I'm so-and-so. Let me help you bring that inside." The moment I, you know, had the U-Haul in front, a woman from across the street came out and said, "Hi, I'm so-and-so." Like I'm not somebody who's good with names, but I remember these people's names. I don't want to name them for privacy's sake, but I had another neighbor who brought me bread right as I moved in, and it was so good. And about 2 months ago, I fell and another neighbor drove me to the hospital. Like the people here care so deeply and they work so hard and they deserve somebody who's going to do that for them as well. I want to give back what I've received.
Okay.
I hear that. I hear that.
Absolutely.
Got that.
And well, something you said, you know, they're so genuine and so generous, which is true. And oftentimes, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but oftentimes you'll see blowback in a federal election and they'll vote Conservative, not because they hate Ottawa or they hate the Liberal Party or whatever. Oftentimes it's just because they don't feel their voice is being heard. And if we send somebody, you know, like Damien, as an example, who was multi-generational farming family, send him to Alberta, our voice is heard. But now he's just abandoned you, for want of a better term. And they're parachuting in a guy who's lived in Ottawa for the last 25 years, but's trying to play off on, well, I'm from Calgary. You are. It's true. But you haven't been there for 25 years. And I think the people it's less about, and again, correct me if I'm wrong here. Sorry, if you'll indulge me for a moment, Mr. Beaver. I think it's less about hatred towards Ottawa, hatred towards the federal government, and more about we're not being heard. Damien was one of us. He could go in and speak for us. And now that voice is gone. And I think, like you said, for the first time, you've got a real choice in the riding. For the first time, the rest of the country knows about this riding, because I'll be honest, I didn't know much about the riding until this by-election, until Damien stepped aside. I knew who Damien was. I didn't know a lot about him, and I didn't know much about the riding because it's, 54,000 square kilometers? It's a very big riding. It's basically the eastern half of Alberta between Calgary and Edmonton, correct?
Yeah.
So suddenly, you're in the national spotlight. And people are paying attention to this. Both federal politicians, provincial politicians, and people who have no interest in politics are suddenly going, wait a second now. You mean to say this guy won with a massive majority, he stepped aside, and now this new fella's coming in, who's been parachuted in from Ottawa, who ignored his other constituency which is why he didn't get reelected. And they think he's just going to walk in and take this over. Whereas, like you said, the folks in that riding care about one another. They care about quality of life for everybody. So having a choice amongst candidates who actually stand up and fight for the things that they believe in, I think is unique in a by-election, in the sense that we have so many independent candidates for the first time ever. And sorry, I know I'm wandering here, but the independent voice in this instance, as I've heard it said by other candidates, is that, yes, I'm one voice and I'm an independent, but if I see something that works positive that this party's voting for and that party's voting for, and I can support, I can throw my weight behind the minority government to get something passed, my voice is heard. And I guess what I'm trying to say is it's less about people hating on the federal government and more about that they didn't feel they had a voice, which is why they voted in spades for Damien, because one of us, one of our community members, somebody who gets it, somebody who knows what it takes and how hard it is to live here. There was the story related to us not so long ago about a farmer who went into the hospital 4 days after he had chest pains. And they said, "Why did you wait so long?" "Well, I had the chores to get, I had choring to do. I had to get the back 40 taken care of." It's like, you could have died of a heart attack. Yeah, but the work needed to be done first. It shows you the work ethic of the folks in that part of the country. Living in a rural environment, and I've done it, it isn't easy. Like you say, some of the towns you live in, you need a service. It isn't there. It doesn't exist.
Yep. It's we can have those services here, and Battle River-Crowfoot has the opportunity to, if they choose to elect an independent like myself, has the opportunity to kind of be the voice to change things across the country. And I think that that's absolutely huge for people here. We can be the voice of change, and we need to look at how party line voting kind of takes it away from everybody. We all lose out with party line voting. And if I'm given the opportunity, the privilege to do this, I will, trying to find my words, my apologies. I will be nothing but grateful and appreciative of this. And I will be there for the people. I will listen, and I care. And I just want to help. That's it. I just want to help.
And this is less about you and more about your neighbors, right?
Yeah, they are very, very hardworking people, and they deserve the same things that people in urban areas get. They deserve doctors in every hospital. I've had to drive to Coronation because there wasn't a doctor at the hospital here, and that could be the difference between life and death for some people.
Oh, yes.
We deserve so much more.
Absolutely. Sarah, we're going to go to a clip from the candidate forum where you had talked about two interesting things that we would like you to develop, but we'll show it here first for our audience. It was a question that was asked about affordability and economic security.
Okay, and just as I go to the clip, it shrinks.
Thank you, Darcy. Sarah.
So my big thing on affordability is actually bringing funding back. Like I said, we need more support for farmers. There are grants, there's funding out there that I am more than happy to bring back for you guys. I have something called the Affordable Food for All Act bill, which would reduce the cost burden of groceries on everyday Canadians, and it would ensure that edible food waste still gets put back into food banks and stuff like that, so you don't have to worry as much about how much your grocery bill is going to cost. I also want to put forth a second bill that would actually limit government spending. The $187.8 million that our government just spent in taxpayer dollars, we need to cut that big time. And I want to be the one to do that. Thank you.
All right. So you have something called, you're already busy. You have something called the Affordable Food for All Act. Please tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so that bill is to help with price gouging. We've seen it in the news year after year. right now we're dealing with it with the putting made in Canada stickers on, and when that's not really happening, and
Mm-hmm.
price gouging, but this would directly target stuff like that. It comes with actionable wording in the bill with fines up to $1 million, which would go directly back into the food security system. It would also include adding GST, and I suppose PST, wherever you are in the country,
Mm-hmm.
to the prices, to the advertised prices, so it can allow Canadians to better budget. And the third point in that bill is food waste. About 60% of edible food waste is thrown away.
Mm-hmm.
And why does it need to be thrown away? It's perfectly fine. Why can't it go to a food bank?
Well, there's many European countries have made it illegal to do that.
And it's, you know what? I would love to do that here too, because it's not fair to throw out food when there are people who are starving in this country. There are people who are missing meals because they can't afford food. And that's me wanting to look out for the people, right? I'm somebody who lives paycheck to paycheck. I'm somebody who worries about food and stuff like that. And it's not fair. It is a basic right. It's what we deserve. And it's what I want to fight for.
Something you said about that, having fines up to $1 million. I think that's great. And here's why. Right now, any sort of fines that they face it's just the cost of doing business. You need to hit them hard and hit them so they'll feel it like a marginalized person in society feels it when they go to buy a loaf of bread and the price has gone up by $1. And they're like, I can't afford that. And people say, Paul, you're being ridiculous. Who can not afford that? A lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
They just can't. An increase of $1 for a loaf of bread is a lot of money when you're trying to budget for, buying 2 or 3 days groceries at a time.
Let's say you have a couple of kids and you're a brown bag, and you go through a lot. You can go through half a loaf in a day.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So
every dollar adds up.
And the
it's
other
not
thing
just bread that goes up.
The other thing you said, I really do appreciate, and I've long advocated for, but nobody seems to listen. Okay, I was going to say something funny, but I decided not to. But nobody seems to listen. Is that show me what the final price is? Don't make me do math in my head as I'm walking. Because when I've been in tough times. I just very recently I was unemployed for almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
I just got a job. Money's going to start to roll in, and that'll make a huge difference in my life. But every time I went to do groceries, as I'm walking through, I'm looking at the product, looking at the label. Where is it made? What are the ingredients? Because I'm very health conscious.
Mm-hmm.
And how much is it? Okay, I put that in the cart. And as I'm approaching, I'm doing all the math in my head and trying to add the 13% HST. But some items are HST exempt, other ones aren't. Just tell me how much it costs. So when I get up to the cash, I know I have enough money to pay for it.
Exactly.
I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but it has happened to me. That I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't need that this time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll pick that up next time. And the cashier looks at you with that knowing, because they're usually in the same boat you are. It's not, they're not looking down their nose at you. They're going, I get it. Don't worry. It's don't be embarrassed,
Mm-hmm.
But
And
people shouldn't have to go through that moment.
Nobody should go through that. Not in this country.
No, not in any country, really. Like, we all deserve to be able to afford to eat.
Yes.
Indeed.
Well, there's surge pricing with the new digital price tags too. Yeah, that needs to end.
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a demand. Let's jack the price up. Oh, really?
It's time to stop. It's time for action with our government.
Yeah, indeed. The second part of that statement here says you had the Affordable Food for Act bill, but then you had a second bill with regard to government spending. What's in that? That
one looks like, so all of the MPs spent a combined $187.8 million on expenses last year, which is disgusting. There's no other word for it. And that averages out to about $550,000 per MP on top of their $200,000 salary that they get.
Dang.
So why do they need that much money? Why do they just get to spend our tax dollars freely while we're struggling to eat?
Hmm.
So that bill would have limitations on how much they could spend. And I understand staffing is a whole separate situation.
Right.
But, you know, when it comes to like hospitality, travel expenses, stuff like that, that's money that can be budgeted for them. That's something that I want to put like a monthly limit on what they can spend. And, you know, if they want to have a little party, maybe it's time to save up like the rest of us have to do
Mhm.
to have their party. You know, it's, if they want to spend more than the allotted amount that they get, they should have to put forth to their voters what the money's going towards, and is it justified. It should
Mhm.
be so much more transparent. And it's the way that it is right now, it's only broken into so many categories and it's hard to read. And that's why people don't look into it,
Mhm.
because they make it hard on purpose. And I want to make that easier too. I want it to be easier to see where all of our funds are going and for our MPs to be held accountable.
Okay. Now, in that answer, and you've mentioned it before, you say that there are pools of funding that are available. We
Mhm.
talked about like one of the ways that these funds are not accessed, such as when the Housing Accelerator program was there, and certain MPs were told not to access it. We hear that there's also something in your area with regard to support for rural transit that was supposed to be there, and the money was not brought in. I was wondering if you could speak more to that.
Yeah, that one really, really rubs me the wrong way because it's so easy for a riding this big to get funding for it. And Damien championed for it in adjacent ridings, but he didn't want to cross party lines to go get the funding. It was up to $10 million to help us have transit
Mhm.
and address the unique transit needs in rural areas.
Right.
And that would have brought jobs in too. Like, you know, you got bus drivers, you got mechanics, you got it would have been great for our economy here.
Right.
It would have been a great way for people in one town to be able to go get a job in another town,
Right.
to expand their circle. And it would help people, you know, if you need to go to a doctor's appointment and you can't drive yourself, you can take a bus to get there. And I don't even know if we're going to get an opportunity like this again because it's
Mhm.
closed now. But it should. There are people here without cars. There are people who are stuck in their small towns, and that's not their fault. That is 100% not their fault. They still deserve to be able to access services and expand their social circle. And we could have done it, and we didn't. And it's so upsetting.
Okay.
All
So if
we
I'm
do is cross
understand,
party lines.
so
Yeah.
if I'm understanding this correctly, there was a opportunity to get $10 million
Yep.
for Battle River-Crowfoot, so that which would help people expand their employment opportunities, be able to get to medical appointments, to maintain health, all this type of stuff.
Yep.
Like you said, all that goes to the economy, and he campaigned for it in other places around, but not in his home riding,
Yep.
only so the Liberals wouldn't have a win.
Yep. Because he didn't want to take any liberal money. And
How did he
within
get 83%?
But
That's
here's the
so
thing
true.
though, within my research, only 17 conservative MPs crossed the floor to go get funding because they put the people first.
Yes.
And that's what
Wow.
we need.
Well,
My mind is
a good idea
blown.
is a good idea is a good idea. If it can help the constituency, if it can help the people, who gives a damn what party came up with it? If it's good for society, just 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 take the money and put it in and say, yeah, the Liberals did this. It was a good idea, and I can support that. Stop
Mhm.
playing the party politics because you're actively harming people to get a nanosecond microbyte win that in the end, you hurt more people than helped.
Yep. Yep. And
It's disgusting.
at the end of the day, all the left and the right do is go back and forth with each other. Nobody's holding each other accountable because they know they'd have to call themselves out as well.
Mhm.
And then we're the ones who are left frustrated, who are now having a further political divide because neither of the parties want to take accountability for each other or themselves. And I'm done with that. That's why I want to go in and just kind of, here's your spending money. That's all you have. And I know that a bill like that would probably get voted down the first time. So I kind of have I have a backup plan. Whereas it gets voted down. That's fine. We look at the MPs who voted no, and we hold them accountable, and we don't reelect them in the next general election. And we find people who want to work for us, and then we reintroduce it until it becomes law.
Right.
It's a long game bill for me.
Yeah, indeed. I could see that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there a time in our past as a nation where no matter who was in power, if a party suggested something that was really good for the country and for the citizens of this country, other parties would look at it and say, this is good, and get behind it? If I remember, there was a time when that existed. But now it's like, no, that came from the other guy, so we can't support that. What are we, the United States of America? No. We're supposed to support one another. A good idea is a good idea. Who gives a damn where it came from?
Exactly. That's the compromise. That's the listening. That's the empathy and the understanding that I feel like a lot of government officials are lacking. Not all of them, but some of the big players, especially.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Another actually, before we go to the next clip, when you say that there are pools, what other pools of funding have not been accessed that you notice that you're thinking of when you say that?
There are, I mean, without having the current budget, I can only kind of speak to what the past budget had,
Yep.
but there were grants for green energy, for oil and gas, small businesses, agriculture, that all could have been brought back to help everyone here. And these are grants that are available across the country, and anybody can access them. It's just there's not a lot of people who have the time, have the capability, because it is hard to write grants. It is hard to get the data and everything.
Mhm.
And I feel like we should have more dedication to that, because the government's trying in a way, but nobody is able to fully access those funds to the best of their abilities to actually help build their economies. And it's time for that to I would just love to see that change across the country regardless.
Okay.
Just before I go to the clip, I just wanted to address one simple thing here. So Damien did not support that because it would have been a win for the Liberals, the money for transit. Did he come up with that on his own, or did somebody suggest that, whisper it in his ear, do you think?
I would love to know who directs how they vote. I would love to know if it's Pierre. I would love to know if it's somebody else. It's hard to tell.
Mm-hmm.
So it's unfortunate.
If I had a cup of tea there instead of a smoothie, I would have
Sip the tea. That was a coffee. I'm all done.
All right. As we know, in Battle River-Crowfoot, there's also something else going on. There's other people that are looking for attention. Longest ballot committee. Elections Canada made what we thought was a pretty wise decision to have people write in rather than have people fumble with a ballot that would have been nearly 2 meters long. But there's overall, electoral reform is larger than that. And there was a question about that during the candidate forum. So, Mr. Grizzly, let's take a look at the answer.
I will bring that right up for you here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Said many times that I think healthy protest is a good idea, but the way the longest ballot is going about it is not okay. They've kind of hindered us here. And I do agree that we should have electoral reform. And I do agree with Ashley when saying that it is something that needs to be studied. It is something that we need to ensure that everybody is getting they feel like their voice is heard. And it's unfortunate that this is where we're at, but we're Albertans. We're tough. We can get over this. We can write a name. Nobody thinks we can, and I know we can. So please go find the name that you want. Please write it down. My last name is spelled Spanier. Thank you.
We like that. We like that. That's clever. Always be branding. But seriously, about this, like I said, because we've made this comment as well. There's your objective, and then there are the tactics you use to reach your objective. So you're not against electoral reform. You know, even if you don't support the same type of electoral reform that some of the members of the longest ballot committee would espouse, and apparently that there's differences among them as well. But that concept here, what is it about the tactic to bring about the change that they want that you are finding that is not okay here?
I think at first it was, having a few people on the ballot, okay, but like 200 people it's like the TikTok sound. It's enough slices, like it is too many people. And it does hinder trying to find the candidate that you want. I do support the point of what they're doing, and they did make enough noise to change something. It's unfortunately something that Justin promised us 10 years ago, and it took the longest ballot to get here to make this change. But I think before we change the ballot style to the write-in ballot, I think that it would have deterred people just based on the size.
Mm-hmm.
If there had been maybe 100 people that, and the ballot was only 1 meter long instead of 2 meters long, that probably could have had a better outcome in terms of how people reacted. But there's also a lot of people that don't understand the point of the longest ballot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's where a lot of the anger comes from as well. So I would love to, I love what they're doing, but they kind of went about it the wrong way in
Bingo.
this riding specifically.
Bingo.
Okay. Now, you as an independent, and then there are a couple of other candidates who are actual independents, because everybody's listed as an independent from the longest ballot committee as well. Because how does that hinder you as an actual independent candidate?
That's the thing. I feel like it kind of discredits me a little bit as an independent candidate as well. And I know that's not their intention, but as soon as I say I'm an independent, people are like, oh, you're part of the longest ballot. And I'm not.
No.
You can even go check on the website and see that my agent is different.
Right.
And I love what they're doing, but they're just not doing it properly, and they're making it harder for true independents like myself. And it kind of, you're already at a roadblock being an independent.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of like an extra hurdle that you need to overcome that is unfair, but it is also part of democracy. So,
well, I understand what they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree with the method in that they're doing it.
Yeah.
I understand it. I don't necessarily care for it. But the way they're going about doing it is damaging to democracy, in my personal and humble opinion. But I've talked to a lot of other people on other sides of the fence, on other sides of the aisle, who feel the same way. They're like, they're making a mockery of it. And I mean, it's kind of hard to argue with that it is a bit of a mockery. And I'm not comfortable with it. I understand what they're trying to do.
Yes.
I just don't. They're doing it the wrong way. And like you said, because they've painted you with the same brush. You have nothing to do with those independents, but you get painted into the same corner as a result, which is why a write-in ballot will probably benefit Pierre the most. I mean, in all honesty.
I mean, and you know what? So we've been told we can write initials, and my initials are just SS, so that's pretty easy to remember too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, it can benefit me as well. And you know, my name is easier to write. I probably misspelt Polyev. I don't know how many times, but there's also we're allowing spelling mistakes, so I find that to be interesting as well. They're saying as long as the intent is there.
Right.
And when I'm going to circle back to the whole the longest ballot making a mockery of democracy. And I don't think we needed to get here if Justin had given us what he said he would 10 years ago. It took a protest group to get enough attention on this situation for enough people to be angry. And I would be shocked if the government didn't do anything after this, because they would not benefit if nothing changed. You know, I can see the longest ballot going after everybody if nothing changes. It took the people to make the government listen.
Well, just before Justin left office, he did say his biggest regret was not getting electoral reform passed. But Mr. Beaver, did you want to address that a little bit, or because I know you know more about it than I do, or
Not specifically, just for a time issue more than anything else.
okay?
But I was wondering on electoral reform, because outside the longest ballot, why do you think the first past the post system is not sufficient and that we do need reform, whatever reform it is?
Because it doesn't serve the people the way it should. Simple as that.
Okay. And how do you think that a different system could serve people better?
I think a different system, while I don't have a direct opinion on which one is the best, because I do believe they should be studied, I think a good system is one that actually listens to the people, like what I'm trying to do. And, you know, oftentimes the election is decided before the polls are even closed in BC. So that completely, you know, BC is out of the question. And sometimes it's called before Alberta is even fully done counting. And that just makes us on the western side of the country feel alienated and feel like our voice doesn't matter. So we want to be heard. You know, we want our voice to matter. We want our representation in the House of Commons, and we don't feel like we're getting that.
Okay.
Well, something that Mr. Beaver can back me up on, because Mr. Beaver loves polls. I'm not a fan of polls. I understand their purpose, but I've always felt that once the writ is drawn, no polls should be released to the public.
Yeah.
I don't think a single poll should be released to the public once the writ is drawn, because it can sway public opinion. And oftentimes, also, I'd like to see newspapers stop endorsing people. Because how are you an objective journalist if your paper endorses a party? You know, these are things that I personally feel, but I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on those two subjects?
I mean, the newspaper needs to make ad money, right?
Yeah.
So it's always about the money at the end of the day.
Yep.
And I mean, I can't fault them for that, but yeah, it does kind of lead a little bit of bias there. And I think that also kind of adds to the mistrust of some people with the media. You know, they're seeing more of one side on one news outlet, and it makes them think that news outlet might be discredited. So.
Okay. Last clip that we have from the forum is your closing statement. Mr. Grizzly, if you would.
Just got to hit the play button.
Thank you, Catherine. Sarah.
So I also want to say thank you to everybody, and for everybody here. This has been absolutely amazing. This is my first time, so this has been really fun. I enjoyed this. But being independent, you know, I get it. It's scary. You make a choice for an independent. You are taking a risk. But I have shown up, and I can show that I can listen, and I can show that I can be here for you. You know, I have had people just berate me online, berate me at the door. That's fine. It's okay. I'm still going to sit here and show up for you guys. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to listen. And you guys, with an independent, you guys have a shot at deciding how Canada goes forward. You know, this riding could be the determining factor for what passes bills and what doesn't.
Mhm.
This vote and your guys' leverage and your guys' voice is more important now than ever before. And that's something that somebody in a party is not going to be able to do for you. I am somebody who is here for you. I've said it before, you guys are my boss. Nobody else. There's no middleman here. And I want to fight for you guys. I can sit there, I can pull numbers, I can pull funding, I can show you guys on paper where the numbers are, what I can do for you guys. And I really hope that over these next 3 weeks that you guys can listen and we can engage, and I am more than happy to listen to you guys. And when it comes down to it, I really just want to help you guys because I have experienced that same hospitality from many people in this riding, and I would like to return that favor. Thank you.
Okay. So you had spoken to this before, but if there are people who are watching this that know your name, they might know it less from the fact that you launched a campaign initially to things that have happened to you while you were campaigning that you mentioned. So you mentioned that you had been berated. Could you tell us a little bit more about that and how that has affected your campaign?
It definitely slowed down door knocking. There was a period of time where that stopped just due to safety concerns. And that's since been rectified. I've been working with the RCMP. I've been working with victim services. I have some more security measures in place. And we're getting back out there. We are talking to people more and more. You know, as soon as we're done here, we're getting in the car and we're going to Camrose. And one thing I just want to address with my closing statement is I need to fix how many times I say you guys. It's ridiculous. It's giving Sloth from Goonies.
You know what it is?
Love the Goonies.
Well, it's one of those. It's like a sort of deferral statement when you're not sure what to say. A lot of us will say or 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 well or like. Yours is you guys. That's okay though. That's okay though because everybody can relate to it, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can turn it into a game if we want.
Take a sip each time.
So you had to stop door knocking for a while. Have you noticed again, because there are people that only knew you from showing up at the door, and now the candidate forum has happened, so maybe more people have seen you. Has there been a change at the door as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I've noticed even when I'm out in public now, people are like looking at me. They're like, I know her, but I don't know from where.
Right.
So people are approaching me in public, and you know, they're asking more questions. I think the understanding that I am actually willing to have a conversation with you, regardless of where you sit on the political spectrum, I think that has been an amazing advantage to me. And I've had voters tell me that, hey, I've tried to have a conversation with another candidate, and you know, they've either completely blown me off or they've just not responded. And I want to, you know, I think the way that I've shown up already has helped me gain more people who are willing to listen to what I have to say.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Overall, as a candidate so far, how would you rate your experience?
I love it. I love it. This is, you know, I will fully admit this is something new for me, and this process has had challenges. It's been stressful, but it has been so amazing to see the people, you know, across the country who have kind of come together on this, and the people in the riding who are, you know, we're going up against this. It's almost bringing like a sense of unity, if you will. And I'm really hoping to just like change the status quo when it comes to kind of how we look at government. Because how many politicians actually will sit down and, you know, have a conversation on your porch, or even answer a comment on a TikTok or a Facebook post?
Right, right. So, not putting any bad juju out there, but should the result of this particular by-election come to pass, and let's say you are not the candidate who is selected, based on your experience, is this a one-time thing, or is this something that would give you the sense, hey, maybe I need to run for something at another level, another opportunity, and another capacity?
I'm 100% going to continue doing this. I fully believe in what I'm doing. I fully believe I can make change. And I'm going to do that. Whether it's at an MP level or somewhere else, I'm going to do it.
So you've been bitten by the bug.
The
Yeah.
democracy bug.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. No, this is great. It's like I said, anything that we can do to bring more voices about. We're all about people having options and quality options, not just a box to tick off or vote O to block X or something like that, but actually good quality options. People who are in it for the right reasons, who actually want to do good and want to make things better and be good constituency MPs first and foremost. And then there are other aspirations, but just because you have other aspirations doesn't mean you need to stop being a good constituency MP.
Yes.
Just saying.
Yes.
In case someone else is watching.
We need an MP, not a PM, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, and one of the things that, because we're all about civics here. We're big on civics and letting people know, what the responsibilities of each level of government is. And it reminds us of when we watched the provincial election in British Columbia recently. They were questioning people, who did you vote for? And they said, why did you vote for them? Says, so we can get rid of Trudeau. And I'm like, that's a provincial election. It has nothing to do with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's disturbing that people don't know that.
There are people who are saying Pierre for Prime Minister.
Yeah, you don't.
So I don't know if people think that this is him running for Prime Minister. Like there's a lot of people that don't. I mean, they could also be bots. Like let's be so for real. They could very well not be real people, but yeah, it is a little concerning. It is concerning.
Well, it's the amount of people say Pierre for PM. I'm like, it's not a position you run for. You never have in this. We do not elect a prime minister. We elect a parliament.
Yeah.
And people need to understand that. So we're trying to get that message out. And I think if more people understood that, we might be in a little bit better shape, because so many people don't know how our system works. And it's not even that complicated, really. Mm-hmm. It isn't.
But there's been a lack of proper education from the government on how it runs.
Absolutely.
So.
Sarah, before you go, if there is anything that you would like our audience to remember to leave this conversation with, that's what they would take with them throughout the rest of the day, what would it be?
That I am somebody who stands on what I say. I show up. I will fight for every single person here. I will fight for you guys. And I'm not going to back down when conversations get uncomfortable. And we as a community can rebuild this area together. And I want to be the one to do it.
All right. That's a good message. Thank you so much for joining us. We are wishing you all the luck. We are wishing you last final days of campaign are filled with people who are kind and who will want to listen, shake hands, agree to disagree if need to be, and maybe even, you'll convince a couple of people, particularly people who didn't intend to vote.
I already have.
Oh, no.
Good. Good stuff. And anybody from Battle River-Crowfoot, if you happen to be listening, or if anybody here are listening, like there's no people out there, tell them to go out and make a plan to vote.
Yes.
All right. This is very important. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you have a jam day packed. So my best to you, my best to your team. They were absolutely wonderful in helping us to get this together. And it was a relatively quick turnaround as well. Mm-hmm. So thank you so very much. We're very grateful.
Thank you for taking the time to speak with me. I really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure.
Okay. Pleasure.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Take care.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
Bye. Okay. She is delightful.
Oh, yes. I like her energy. Yeah. No,
Oh my
absolutely,
God.
absolutely.
You know,
Um,
I learned a lot too
well, I like
here.
what she has to say. She's this is
There are lots of good people there.
a lot of good people, period, who wanna do good for the country, for their constituency, for Canada. This is getting involved at the grassroots. Look, it takes a lot of courage to do this.
Oh, yeah. Well, especially in a context like this, right? Because you have someone who is being, who's just sauntering in the room,
Mhm,
chin up, ass out, for all
mhm.
I'm concerned, right? They're walking in here and says, all of your votes are assumed. I'm this guy. I'm going to take it, showing that he's acting, behaving like he doesn't have to do the work, which is the same thing that got him into trouble in Carlton. And I mean, we've even heard, more demonstrations of this by the way he presented himself,
Oh, yes.
at the candidate forum, not arriving on time. You
Shows
know,
up an hour late.
it's she has to help him to find a spot in line, something that probably would not have been necessary had someone shown up on time.
Well, and then he campaigned only to the men and completely ignored the women
Well,
because
exactly. But the time behind the stage wasn't to establish some friendly rapport with other candidates or whatnot, but actually to campaign to them, maybe even convince them to drop out somehow. Or like if he charmed them, like it probably wasn't as obvious as like, hi, I'm here. If you drop out, I will. But I mean, it's like, oh my God, he's so charming, he's so nice. I must have underestimated him. Maybe I won't campaign as hard, or something. But
Mm,
uh, I or maybe he thought that he could get their votes eventually. At the, but you don't walk into a room and do that.
he does
Well, he does.
because well,
He's Pierre.
he's Pierre.
That's what a
Let's leave it
Pierre
at that
does.
because I'll go on a rampage and I don't wanna do that.
But that's the part. This is one of the reasons that I like to have these conversations, right? Because we see what we see from here. But again,
Mm,
how it plays in the room. No newspaper covered the story of what
no,
happened prior to the debate,
right? I
right?
didn't hear
This is
anything about that.
exactly, this is the first we're hearing of this. You know, the thing as well that, I really thought that all the seats were sold out because it had been announced on
Mhm.
the site, of
It
the
was sold out, yeah.
yeah, that was sold out. So, but
Well,
that
perhaps it was sold out, but people just didn't show up.
could be, but the, yeah, yeah, if that was the case, then what I would say next wouldn't apply because I was gonna say, well, if they did bus in people and it
Mhm.
still wasn't full, what does
Yeah.
that say about Pierre, as well?
Well, the
But
fact
yes,
that
you're
they
right,
had
some
to
people
bus in
could not have shown up, had
the
other things
fact
that
that they
come.
had to bus in supporters, though, who can't even vote in the riding
I
is
know,
just
I know,
really? Like, really?
I know. The
Really?
staging was just, terrible
Come
there
on.
in that sense.
If you're
Because
gonna bus
here
people in, at least make them constituents who have a say.
well, number 1, but number 2, right? Uh, if you're busing them in to have a soundtrack,
Yeah,
okay, the applause, 1, but then taking the next step to start booing others
yeah.
to get that on, like, there's
GTFO, man.
well, that's exactly it, right? It's like the busing people in who don't live there is one thing. Busing them in to interfere in the actual forum,
Yeah,
like this to cheer, so that the people who are away get the sense that the inevitable one, the one that keeps on trying to present himself, it's stop resisting. I'm just going to be your prime minister one day. Like
yeah.
this has this groundswell of support on the ground, especially in light of the news reports that we're getting like this and word that we're getting from people on the ground that he's actually having a tougher row to hoe here in this one.
And he's not even showing up for the next 2 forums because he doesn't give a shit.
Well, the other two are also not going to be streamed, so there are no clips to be gained.
Oh, well, that's why.
Mm.
I can't get a soundbite, a clip, because he's not in the House of Commons anymore, right?
Hmm.
So he has to get in front of a camera somehow.
Hmm. So it's not worth it.
I think the people of Battle River-Crowfoot are going to surprise us in this by-election.
I
I
sure
honestly
hope
do.
so.
I honestly do, and I think the country might go, "Whoa, they these people are paying attention." Yeah, because they're pissed off. They're pissed off that he thinks he can just walk in and take it.
But he is walking in there and he is repeatedly insulting them day after day after day. And then you have candidates like Sarah Spanier,
Mhm,
right? Like Bonnie Critchley, like
mhm.
Darcy Spady, like Ashley McDonald from the Greens, right? And I'm sure there are a couple of others there. This who really, I'm sure even the libertarian candidate,
Mhm.
who has things to say that that make us go, "Mm, we don't know." But he's knocking on doors
Yes.
and going out to meet people. He's doing the work,
Well,
right?
was it when
Like
this
he's a younger student like this. He was able to talk about student issues and bring them. Even he's got a constituency. He's speaking to something like this, and then you get this other guy that shows up, and it's like I'm, I'm doing a stand-up comedy routine here.
well, when it first started, who was campaigning on his behalf in that riding was Damien.
Yeah, he's doing
He
the work.
didn't bother show up.
Yeah, I'm just
So, if you live in Battle River-Crowfoot and you think Pierre Poilievre gives a damn about you, I got news for you. He doesn't. He didn't care about his constituency here. For the last 2 years, 3 years, he's campaigned on becoming prime minister.
Yeah.
Again, not a position you run for,
Mhm,
not a position we vote for.
mhm. But that's
He
why I
just
like
wants to be it, you know?
yeah, but that's why I like what Sarah said, right? It says, "We're voting for an MP, not a PM.
Correct. Correct.
I'm coming here, I'm coming to take this seat, and once I get this seat, right, thank you very much. I'm gonna go back to my regularly scheduled programming."
3,300 kilometers away.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
He
So,
doesn't give a damn. He doesn't.
no, but you have candidates like Sarah who are coming up, and they're saying, "Listen, you know, I have lived experience here.
Mhm.
I've
I know what it's
seen."
like to go paycheck to paycheck. I
Yes,
know what it's like to get to the grocery store at the checkout counter and go, "Oh, take that out of the cart."
I I
This
know
is
what
somebody you can relate to.
I know, but I also I you know, I've seen how hard you work.
Mhm.
Yes, I've seen how genuine and generous you are. Uh, I've seen all these I've experienced firsthand all these times that you've helped me, that
Mhm.
you've been kind to me, that you've you know, I didn't have people to help me move like this. You helped
It
me
came out.
move. I
Yeah.
was just, I had just arrived, my kitchen's not set up. You brought me bread. You brought me a casserole like this. I fell. You brought me to the hospital. It's, uh, and again, she chose it,
Mhm.
right? Her and Pierre are from Calgary, but she's definitely way more local than he is.
By far. Again, he'll just go back to Stornoway.
She wanted this life. She's lived in Vancouver as well, right? And she came
Mhm.
and said, like, this is the life I've chosen, this pace of life, this style of life. I get it.
Mhm.
'Cause I don't and meanwhile, have Pierre, like he mentioned, in the stage on that debate, you would be surprised a lot of us don't, a lot of us, we don't get to stay home. We stay in low rent or low budget, hotels and motels and whatnot. Not if you're the party leader,
No.
you don't, and certainly not if you're prime minister. If you're prime minister, most of your travel is outside of the country representing us.
Well, I heard a rumor.
You're not staying at the Mortar 6, in Paris
Right.
and in London.
Yeah. Well, I heard a rumor that he put 1.3 million down on a house in the riding. I heard that rumor. I don't know if it's true.
I
And
heard
then
the
I
rumor.
went online and I'm like, "How many houses can you get for that?" Well, there are a couple in Camrose that are worth that much.
Yep.
Now, they're bigger than Stornoway. And I'm not taking anything away. I'm like looking at real estate in that part of the province. And Camrose does have a few places that are worth 1 million and up because real estate is insane these days. But I mean, again, I don't know if he's done that. This is what I heard. I don't know if it's true. I've not been able to substantiate it.
Neither
So I
have I.
think
I've
it's
seen
just
no
a rumor.
corroboration anywhere.
Nothing. Yeah, just a rumor, I think, at this point.
Yep.
Can he afford to do that? Yeah, apparently he can. Whether he has or not is another question.
Indeed, indeed.
But
Uh, n Now, because we didn't have a full 2 hours with Sarah, I just wanna talk about there's a couple of other things. Um, there's the question that came up in the debate about immigration and population growth.
Mhm.
Um, and she does say that she believes that it should be lowered a little bit, but that there should also be a greater investment in Canadians in terms of creating programs that would allow us to reinvest in our economy, like many other people talking about, more quickly recognizing credentials for professionals such as
Right.
doctors, and let's say probably engineers as well and stuff like that who are coming from elsewhere. She was the first to suggest it on on the candidate forum stage during this time. So later on, when Pierre mentioned it, she had the quickness and presence of mind when she was next speaking to say, "Well, I would like to thank him for building on my idea. Very clever, very well done, very well done." Like this, she's sharp. She's
Oh, yeah.
sharp.
Yeah.
There was a bigger question, a broader question about government accountability and democracy, and she talked about their politics being a broad spectrum, but there are some gaps that need to be bridged, and that she's the type of person, as she's been talking about in the interview, willing to have a conversation with anyone, willing to listen, willing to take the best and try to bring it in to show that she's the person that would have those skills that are needed to bridge that gap.
Right.
She talking about health and social services, and this is where she has a lot of personal experience here. Tried to make the point about the leverage that one can have as an independent in this particular situation and context, in order to get things into bills that will be able to help locally. There, electoral reform. We showed you the clip on that. There was also discussion about agriculture and rural development. And there again, she was talking about places in the budget where there's funding for things that had not been accessed. And then made a very interesting appeal to the residents of Battle River-Crowfoot when it came to getting that type of funding here, which said, I want you to be selfish. We can build up Battle River-Crowfoot first and then help to build up Canada. So interesting take there. And then later on, the final question had been on more affordable top tier education, mentioning how she mentioned how provincially there were a lot of things that were lacking in education. But of course, as we know, because if you know your divisions of powers, there's very little that anybody running federally can do on that front.
Right.
But federally, there are things that can be done in terms of improving access to post-secondary education. And she has a particular idea or desire to make sure that there's more access to post-secondary education in rural areas specifically, so you don't have to go that far from where you live in order to be able to access it. You can still have that rural lifestyle closer to your community, but still be able to get a better top tier education without necessarily having to go to the city to get it.
Right. Well, and I like that idea, and it's something something that just occurred to me that I thought I'd point out is that I haven't heard any candidates. Now, maybe somebody has said this, but I haven't heard it. But I haven't heard a single candidate say, "I'm here to defeat Pierre Poilievre."
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right. He's
Unlike
not central to their campaigns. They're not focused on him.
Exactly. Like the last provincial election in Ontario, Bonnie Crombie. I'm here to beat Doug Ford. Yeah, no, tell us what you're going to do.
Right.
We want to get rid of Doug, but you're not telling us what you're going to do. You're telling us you need to beat him. And I'm like, yeah, we already know that. What again, I haven't, maybe somebody said that, but I've not heard it from anybody.
Mm-hmm.
They're not making him the part of their campaign. Their campaign is, I'm here to make a difference in my riding.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to represent you. I'm here to be your voice in Ottawa.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So I like this, that we've had the chance to speak to two of the candidates there, two of the actual independent candidates. And the thing that I'm noticing like this, and even watching the candidates debate, even the candidates whose political stances I did not agree with at all, they're local or very near to the riding. Like there's one person that used to live within the riding's boundaries, but then they got changes now outside. There's one that lives like not that far from it. That's it's like, even though I'm not here, I'm relatively close. There's one that wasn't there and says, so listen, if I have to move here, I'm willing to do that. Right. All of them, probably except that first guy on the panel, Grant Abraham, I think it was his name was, who 3 times during the debate actually like directly went after Pierre.
Yeah.
by like mentioning the lack of security clearance or whatnot. But nobody else seemed to have made Pierre the center of their campaign, their target. It's, I'm here. Yes, there's this thing going on here. I don't think that this is right. I don't think that this will be what gets for this community
Right.
what it deserves, real representation or a voice, depending on the candidate that you talk about, I guess. And I'm here to be able to be that person. And that's pretty much all I have to say about that person.
Mhm.
I've got plans. I've thought about things. I'm networking in my community. I'm going to knock on the doors. I'm going to show up, right? Because if anybody's going to run for the first time, this is about the most difficult context
Mhm.
you can get
Yes.
when against the biggest name
Mhm.
in a well-established party who has an entire party machinery behind him
Yeah.
like this. And then outside of that party machinery, a whole press machinery
Mm-hmm.
and a bit of a sycophantic press, a good chunk of it,
A
I guess,
bot army.
and like that, and then online influencers,
Yeah.
and then bots, and then other MPs, a part of a whole team like this, and one former MP even, that are willing to put their lives aside to campaign for him and boost him, and then social media influencers behind that, pumping his tires all
Well,
the
and
time. That's such And if there's any attention on the campaign itself,
Mhm.
so many of the questions are gonna come to you as being in the context of him,
right.
right? So, how do you feel about him? How do you feel about what he's at? Yes, but I have a message. Thank you. If you would like to ask me about me,
Yes, I'm happy
right?
to tell you. Well, before anybody gets bent out of shape when we said bot army, do you remember this is the guy who had a rally in Northern Ontario?
Yes.
And what, 3, 4, 500 people, or was it 5,000 people in a room that held 500, 5,000? I could be off with the numbers, but let's just say the room didn't hold as many people as purported to have been there, and many of them were from small villages in France, Russia, all throughout
Yes.
Eastern Europe.
There's a couple of people that managed to get from Kirkland Lake back to Indonesia within
Yes,
24 hours.
yes, which, as we know, is a simple thing to do, because usually the first place you go in Canada when you come to visit is Kirkland Lake
Well,
for the
yes,
Pierre Poilievre rally.
and that Bali to Kirkland Lake, direct flight.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, and as I understand too, Sarah is the only candidate that's actually proposed legislation in this by-election,
mhm, yeah,
which that's nobody else has proposed actual legislation. So
yeah,
that's and we talked about it at the
yep,
top of the
2
show
bills.
too, right?
Yep.
So
That's what I mean.
yes,
It's like we're talking about a serious candidate, somebody who's taken some time
yes.
to think about things and write things out and say, I have some plans, I have some, and then go out and say, you know what? Okay, here's what I bring. Now what can I learn from you?
Hmm.
And then can make some adjustments.
Well, this is the thing that we've talked about time and time again. The official opposition just opposes everything. And I get that you're supposed to do that, but they forgot the other half of that. It's oppose and propose.
Right.
They don't do that. They just oppose everything the party in power brings and propose nothing,
Mhm.
which is not constructive. And that creates that American style two-party politics thing that we don't want in this country.
Mhm.
So,
Indeed.
yeah, if you're going to oppose, that's fine, but propose something. And why are you opposing it? Well, I think we can do better, and here's what I think we can do to do better. Not just, well, it's the liberals who are doing it, so we're in opposition. That's
Yeah,
how
it
is
has
that
to be
working for
gone.
the people,
It
right?
has to go beyond we're in the opposition, so we're supposed to oppose.
Well, it's something that Pierre Poilievre is responsible for what, one bill? Two?
Technically, is proposed 5 or 6 before becoming leader. Only one got through the entire legislative process.
Right, in 20 plus years.
Yep.
But he's going to be there to represent Battle River-Crowfoot.
Yep.
Come on. Come on.
Come on. No.
This
No.
man has been suckling at the teat of the public purse for decades and has nothing to show for it, other than a piece of legislation that brought his party down.
Mhm. Well, that again, that's why another thing that I like about Sarah's proposals here when she's talking about the bill on government spending,
Mhm.
right? The parts that you can actually have some impact on, whatever your hospitality, travel, all that other budget is. I mean, we've seen him dipping into that in
Wow.
many different ways, but curtailing that, it's
He
like,
spent more than the prime minister. The prime minister was traveling around the world to negotiate trade deals on our behalf.
yep,
Ugh,
yep. I know. I know. There's a lot of these expenses that probably should be party expenses,
agreed.
right? And
Agreed.
not it's like, well, we have a place in parliament. We're doing that, yes, but is this a Conservative Party of Canada as opposition trying to make things better for Canada event, or is this a Conservative Party of Canada event that happens to have a tinge of something so that you can say it's business, right? Like
Yeah.
even the legal court cases, sometimes I see that going on, right? Like I'm watching what's going on in Ontario, Doug Ford wanting to challenge on the bike lanes here.
Mhm.
It's like, can you please take that out of party funds? Because the only reason you are spending public funds on that is so that you can have a press issue to go ahead, and distract from what it is that's going
Stop
wrong for
spending
your
my money.
thing like this and bring some attention pretending that you're fighting for someone. But this is clearly a party campaign PR thing
Mhm.
off which you're going to then fundraise
Yeah,
like this.
and
And we pay for the PR thing, and then we pay for the part of the political donation tax credit that you fundraise off of. So could you at least pay for this out of your party funds and not bill
you
it
have
one
the
100%
money.
to taxpayers? Well, that's the other thing too, but I think that's one of the reasons why conservatives are probably so good at raising money is that they're also very good at writing off what should probably be party expenses as a um,
Yeah.
government function expense.
Well, and, without getting into the history of it, we have shown on this program, and we've talked about it time and time and time again, how Conservative Party, when they are in power, how they act like they're fiscally conservative. They aren't.
No,
They never have been.
no.
They sell off, piss away your money, and then the next government comes in and spends a couple of years fixing it. And then people get tired of that government and vote them out. But that changed in the most recent election because they changed the leader.
Right.
And this government was handed a razor thin, I'd say almost a razor thin majority. They were 2 seats away from a majority government. So I think the country spoke up and said it wasn't that they hated the Liberal Party. They were just tired of Justin Trudeau.
Mhm.
And again, like I said, if you look through history,
The moment changed.
military funding, it's always been the Liberal Party.
Yep.
Improving the lives of veterans, it's always been the Liberal Party. And people get upset when I say that, and I go, well, then prove me wrong. Because you can't.
And on budgeting in general, if you look at you have to look at provincial governments there because there's been no federal. Actually, the NDP has actually proven to be
Yes.
rather good with money when you consider the go-to media trope right off the bat is, oh my God, if you let the NDP run everything, we're going to spend us into the poorhouse. We'll be destitute before you know it. And that hasn't proven true where they've governed. Like if we actually go on lived experience and the data that's out there, that hasn't proven as well. So, like I said, fantastic opportunity to talk to Sarah over here, get extra views about what's going on the
Mhm.
ground. We are getting close to it. By the time you watch this, it's going to be 7 days, 1 week to go before voting day. So please, as we say, and we'll probably remind you anyway in the closing, to do what you can do to plan your vote. Find out as much as you can about the candidates. If you are interested in supporting Sarah, you can make a donation as well. I just had the thing right there. Thank you so much, Mr. Grizzly. At Vote Sarah Spanier. And if you happen to be listening on podcast, that's Sarah, Sarah, Spanier, Spanier. So Vote Sarah Spanier, all in one word, .ca/donate. And remember, Kits and Cubs, because it is a federal by-election, wherever you are in Canada, if you have not
You
made your
can donate.
maximum donation to a candidate, which is $1,750, I believe, and you have some donation room left, you can direct some towards Sarah or any of the other candidates. But since we're talking about Sarah, let's boost her a bit. You can donate that to her and support her initiative. And as we keep on saying, because Battle River-Crowfoot's about 52,000 square kilometers, a little gas money goes a long way.
Indeed.
So please do help. If you can help and you're so inclined to, then please do. All right. Mr. Grizzly, I think we have a show.
I believe we do, sir.
All right, kids and cubs. That's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show, or True North Eager Beaver Interview Project in this case. We hope that you loved listening to us because we loved making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. And when you do, please put a little word of your own there because, as we say, you are influencers in your own circle and people look up to you for your opinions. And that's the type of advertising we cannot buy. It's priceless. So we thank you for that. Now, if you would like us to help you because you are an engaged citizen, but you are on the go, you've got things to do, and sometimes you're not able to watch us, well, hey, we're portable. Put us in your ears with our ears-only audio version podcast made available to you through the generous donation of the Ray Girl, who sponsors our pod page. If you're watching and you scan the QR code that Mr. Grizzly just made appear, it will bring you there. And if you are listening, you go to podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver with a hyphen between each one of those words. And when you go there and click subscribe, when we have something fresh off the podcast bandwidth, zip, boom, right into your favorite podcast feed. And you don't even have to go looking for us. We come to you. We make it easy because we like to help. Now, if you would like to help us, you can make like Kits, Cassie, and Elaine and surf on down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page, where we have not one, not two, but 3 buttons waiting for you. Just waiting for you to click on them. Like, share, subscribe. Click 1, click 2, click 3. Go crazy. Smash away. We don't judge. And, well, smashing is always fun. And if you're watching, remember, if you smash now, you don't have to remember to do it before you leave. So thanks, eh? Now, kids and cubs, if you would like to help us in other ways, we do incur some costs to bring this show to you. And if you like what we do and you would like to encourage us to do more, we would be very grateful for an enthusiastic expression of encouragement in the form of a tip. Shaking it for tips right here. A contribution to the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund would do us a world of good, and you can do that via our coffee page. That's coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver. Hey, Mr. Grizzly's here today, so you might want to treat him to a nice, hot, piping cup of bitter and dark coffee.
I'm all out.
There you go. Don't make Mr. Grizzly be like Pierre and drink from an empty cup.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Donate today.
Not cool. I'm going to pretend it was just. Sorry, my cup
I
is
got
up.
the cup.
Go Sens go.
I love it. So please, kids and cubs, we appreciate everything that you do. If you would like to buy Canadian, because you're still doing that, remember you can support the Beaver Lodge and still buy Canadian with a direct bank-to-bank transfer. TrueNorthEagerBeaver@gmail.com is the address to which you would send your donation. And when you do that, you get to bypass the US CE Tech Pros. They don't take a cut. And when they don't do that, that also means that we get 100% of your donation. Win, win. It's a good thing. So thank you for that. We really do appreciate it. And if you would like to write to us, that same email address, TrueNorthEagerBeaver@gmail.com, is the one that you can use to let us know what you think about the show, good, bad, or ugly. If ugly, please be gentle, but we do like constructive criticism. It helps us improve. Or if you have some guest suggestions, please let us know who they are. We will try to get them on. All of that you can send there. And if you would like to reach us via our socials, at True Eager at the Blue Sky Beaver Lodge, as well as on the Jitter, True North Eager Beaver on Facebook, or right here on YouTube, True North Eager Beaver Media. If you happen to be listening live with the DAMFAM or at your own convenience, leave a little something down here in the comments section. We do read everything, even though we're not able to get back to you. And please know that every donation that you make to the Beaver Lodge and every written contribution does get used and put back into the show in order to make it better for you. Thank you so much for all you do to help us improve. Because democracy is something that you do, kids and cubs. Two things, as we mentioned, please donate to help Sarah Spanier with her campaign. Again, I believe it is votesarahspanier.ca slash, no, yes, votesarahspanier.ca/donate. So go there and make a donation. But also, if you happen to be in Alberta, Tom Lukasic's Forever Canadian campaign is underway, and they have to garner at least very close to 294,000 signatures to have their question about Alberta remaining in Canada approved for Citizens Initiative referendum, and probably need a little more than that. Let's aim for another 50,000 more, because you know that Danielle Smith is going to do everything that she can to try to have as many signatures as possible invalidated. So you have to sign in numbers too great to manipulate in order to make sure that she can't do that. So if you are in Alberta, please go to forever-canadian, I think it's .ca. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at that. I have it here in the captions.
No, you
somewhere.
don't. It's not there.
Oh, you don't? Okay. I had it there the other day. Darn, too bad.
I was just cleaning up some stuff because we had too much stuff in there.
Gotcha. Okay. So
Sorry.
can't remember it off the top of my head. We'll do it when we come back. But please do that. And on that form, when you go there, you can pledge already to sign the petition in order to bring about that. And as well, you can sign up to be a canvasser, because that's always very important, kids and cubs. When you're a canvasser, you can help with collecting those signatures as well. So you can donate, volunteer, collect signatures for the petition as a canvasser, subscribe to the newsletter, and pledge to sign the petition. And the website for that, kids and cubs, I just got it here, and I will send it to Mr. Grizzly as well, so it can go on the screen. That is www.forever-canadian.ca. So please do that. All right, Mr. Grizzly, since you are here, thank heavens, because I never have any wisdom. Do you have any words of wisdom for the kids and cubs?
Well, for the people of Battle River-Crowfoot, the words of wisdom I can give to you from a tall, skinny white guy from Ottawa is this: vote for the person in your riding who will best represent you. It's simple. It's simple. I can't tell you who to vote for. Please get out and vote. Vote for the person who you believe will best represent you. Because remember, we do not vote for prime minister.
Mm.
It's not a position you can run for in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
You vote for a member of parliament. And that member of parliament is your representative in Ottawa. So vote for the one who, I don't know, maybe one of the ones that lives in your riding, whatever the party, whether they're independent, their party, but maybe somebody who lives in the riding, who actually knows what it's like to live in that riding, who understands the struggles for rural Albertans. Vote for the person who's going to do the most for you, but also your friend down the street, your neighbor a few farms over, the seniors who are looking at moving into a retirement home because they can't take care of themselves anymore. Vote for the person who's going to do the most for your riding.
Yep.
Not the one who's trying to run for a position that you can't run for.
Yes.
That's all I have to say.
Yes. Battle River-Crowfoot, you are not a stepping stone.
No.
All right. And not only rural, right? Remember, as other people have told us, right, there are some smaller urban areas, right? It's not big metropolis like Calgary, whatnot, but but smaller towns, smaller cities, rural areas, slower pace of life. It takes all kinds to make a nation. Yes, and we're supposed to serve everyone. So,
correct.
All right. Kids and cubs, it could be a tough world out there. So please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, please cue the cock. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster. Hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. All right. And just before we go, a little bit of Canadians who make us proud. Last week, Kids and Cubs, we had the Canadian Track and Field Championships taking place in Ottawa, as Mr. Grizzly reminded us on Friday. And a couple of results here. Duan Asamoah won his first outdoor Canadian championships, outrunning triple Olympic medalist and 12-time Canadian champion Aaron Brown at the line. He won in 10.12 seconds. As we mentioned, Andre de Grasse did not run the 100 meter there, and the person that's actually known as Canada's fastest man, also was not in the final because had a false start disqualification in the semifinal. So this is how Asamoah got his crown. He said, "This has been the craziest year of my career. Last year, I came fourth and I was bawling my eyes out after the race. I was distraught. I went into the Olympic Games injured. I took so much time off. So all of those times I spent running in the pool, all the rehab I did, all the practitioners I saw, the miles I drove just to get healthy. Indoor was a great to win. But when we do indoor and outdoor, it just shows how dominant I can be, and I want to show I can dominate the sprints." In the 100 meter paraambulatory race, Marissa Papaconstantinou came back from her record effort in the qualifying rounds to win. So that's, again, a lovely result for her. Tuni Ogunyiyi won the men's under 2100 meter final, but made history. He's the guy I was talking about. His time of 10:23 became the new Canadian record for the event, breaking a mark previously held by Andre de Grasse and Storm Zablocki. So we have another person who at the age of under 20 is doing better than Andre de Grasse was doing at the time. So who knows, in a couple of years,
Right,
we might see
coach.
this guy. Yeah, exactly. And finally, Natalie Thirsk broke her own women's record in the women's T38 400 women's paraambulatory 400 meter final. And the new time is 1 minute 6:52 there. And she said, "I felt really strong coming around 100 meters. My teammate and friend Amanda was sneaking up. I was really worried, but she cheered me on. So I was like, okay, we got to keep going and cut around the second corner. Everyone started cheering. I was feeling really good, relaxed, and the Ottawa crowd tonight definitely pushed me through the finish line to that Canadian record." So there you go. Just some great performances here by some of the Canadians at the Canadian Track and Field Championships. Always a great event.
All righty.
All right, that's all I got. Do you have anything else for the Kids and Cubs, Mr. Grizzly?
I got nothing.
All right.
We'll see you.
Amour et bisous.